How did you integrate technologies, software, hardware, and online in this project? Integrating different forms of technologies into my project was an essential part of making my overall product look professional-like. From my research, I learned that magazines use software, hardware, and online technologies to appeal to their target audiences. So to make sure that my magazine attracts my target audience, I have also involved these technologies. The software that I incorporated into my project are Microsoft Word, Microsoft Publisher, iMovie, GarageBand, Voice Memos, and Photoshop CS6. I used Microsoft Word so that I could easily edit and check spellings on large passages of text. I used it to write scripts of all of my CCR questions and to write my double-page article. For my front cover and contents page, I used Word to draft the cell lines and storylines and check the spellings. The final way I used Word was to create the structure plans, except the one I used for the article, for the pages. This allowed me to easily edit the size of the boxes. I only briefly used Microsoft Publisher in this project. I used it when analysing the covers of Vogue and Vanity Fair. I found this technology better than the other software as it was easier to add and move the text boxes and add text to them. I also used iMovie, Voice Memos, and GarageBand. I used these technologies in the making of my CCRs. I used Voice Memos to record my script for all of the questions on my phone. Then I opened the recordings on GarageBand where I compiled them, trimmed them, if need be, and put the recordings in the right order. After that, I opened the GarageBand audio on iMovie. This was the software I used to add visuals to the recordings for questions 3, 1, and 4. Some of the visuals that I added are pictures, videos, and the Google Slides, which I inserted as images. The final software I used was Photoshop CS6. I used this to make my front cover, contents page, and article page, as it has a lot of tools that make my magazine look professional. All magazines of all genres use Photoshop to ensure that their magazine attracts readers. This is so that the readers identify and aspire to be like the people in the magazines. This is according to Blumler and Katz's uses in gratification theory. Some of the ways in which a magazine makes readers aspire to be like the celebrities within it is by improving the lighting of the photo and removing blemishes on the model's skin. I used both of these techniques in my project. I changed the lighting on my front cover and I removed the model's blemishes on my original contents page. As I mentioned previously in question 3, once you have had practice with Photoshop, it becomes a lot easier to use. I also use Photoshop for its wide range of fonts, such as Times New Roman, which I use for the text on the contents and article page. But I mostly use the website dafont.com for my fonts. The online technologies that I used were dafont.com, Weebly, YouTube, Google, Google Slides, and SoundCloud. Going back to dafont.com, I downloaded the font The Queen from this website as I knew that I was going to be using it a lot throughout this project. This is because it is the font I used on my masthead, so to create a house style I had to be consistent with this font throughout the pages. Another online technology that I used was the website Weebly. This was used to show the progress of each page of my magazine from start to finish, to accumulate my research, to display my pre-production and production work, to write a diary of every month throughout the course, and finally as a way for my media teacher to give feedback on my blog by using the contact form part of the website. I also used other online technologies such as YouTube and Google to conduct research. I used YouTube to watch Photoshop tutorials so that I could improve my Photoshop skills. I also used YouTube to upload my CCR questions 1, 3, and 4 onto my blog. I used Google to conduct nearly all of my research, such as to look up media theories, media studies, or find examples of different codes and conventions. The other part of Google that I used was Google Slides. I used this to present this CCR question, question 4. The final online technology that I used in this project was the website SoundCloud. I utilised this to present my CCR question 2. I used this to upload the audio file from GarageBand to Weebly. Moving on to hardware, I used the following technologies: computer, a laptop, SD cards, a camera and its equipment, studio equipment, a graphics tablet, a voice recorder, and a Vogue magazine. I used the school computers when uploading things onto my blog and for Photoshop when I was at school, but when I was at home and needed to do anything on my blog, I used my laptop. I also used my laptop to compile my CCR questions as I found the software easier to use, and since I recorded the voiceover at home, I thought it would be easier to use my laptop. This allowed me to be time efficient by being able to upload things from home and school. At home, I used my XIA-OKOA PC condenser microphone to record all of the CCR questions. Since I recorded it at home, there was less background noise and the microphone helped to increase the sound quality. I used 32GB SD cards within the Sony Alpha 7S camera during my photo shoots. This allowed me to take lots of photos since I had a lot of storage. The camera I used also allowed me to take effective mid-shot pictures and follow the typical codes and conventions of a magazine front cover. The equipment I used with the camera on both of my photo shoots was a 50 Mark lens with a Metabone 50 to 75mm. During my second photo shoot, I also used different hardware equipment like a green and white screen, studio lights and a reflector. I used the green screen on my front cover so that it was easier for me to place the background onto the image. And I used the white screen for the main image on my article page so that it was easier for me to make the background all one shade of white by getting rid of the creases in the curtain. I used the reflector in the shoot to try and recreate the lighting from the original photo shoot. Finally, I used 3-point lighting in the shoot using LED lights by Drawcast. I used the graphics tablet to design one of the ideas on my article page. I thought that this was a good way to show how I pictured my article page to look, as you could clearly see where the model was going to be positioned. I didn't use this way for all of the structures as I thought that it was quite messy, making it difficult to read, and the tablet took me longer to use compared with Word. The final piece of hardware that I used in this project was the Vogue issue February 2016 magazine. I used it to increase my research and knowledge on high-class fashion magazines. With this magazine, I looked into publishing company platforms and cross-media convergence, advertisers, finance, and representation of age, gender, ethnicity, and international identity.